Our second to last plank is being nailed.
Hi, I'm Ben.
And I'm MP. And we just bought a boat that needs a little bit of work done.
We are both rookies when it comes to boat ownership and carpentry, so this is going to be a steep learning curve.
Luckily, we found an amazing team of shipwrights who accepted the mission of bringing our boat back to life and are now rebuilding Yabá with hand tools, ancient knowledge, and a lot of passion.
Join us on this thrilling journey and wish us luck.
Hi, I'm MP. I love the ocean, so I decided to make it my home. It was just so I could start talking, you know. Today, loads of wood arrived, which is great news. They are massive pieces. They are 10 centimeters thick and they are very long, about 6 meters, because we're going to work on our tabica again, which is that top plank that's very thick and comes out from the boat. We have those pieces over there and the guys are already measuring to see how to cut it. We had to get really wide pieces so we can work on the curvature of the boat, and I think it's gonna look very cool.
Mais um pouquinho, só. Isso. Malagou. Aí. Ah, eu falei. Acabou,
Can you see already the curve? Probably not because the nails are too small, but now with the batten or the story plank, as we learned recently, we'll show you.
Tem gasolina ali ainda, será? Ô, Nico, quero ver se tem gasolina lá ainda. Gasolina lá, ó.
Cutting a tabica, and over there we have Zach and Elio already making the template for the next one. So no time to waste. Now that we finally have wood, we're working low.
Aí. Rapaz. Eita, toma nova, é outra.
Vai, dá, mandar aí. Vai. Aguenta aí. Só cuide que ela vai lá pra frente. Vai, Marcos.
Cadê a corda agora?
Vai, Marcos.
Manda a corda. Ah, é.
Ah, achei.
Mas aí, não levanta, não levanta. Vai. Não levanta, cuidado, né? Lá em cima, pô.
Vamos lá,
Vai ali.
Vamos lá.
Vai ali.
So now this is in the exact place it has to be and where it's going to stay. So now we're just going to fasten it to the boat with 1/2 inch stainless steel bars onto the beams, and that should hold. We are going to cover those bars with some Sikaflex and caulking cotton at the top so no water can get in. Of course it's going to be a lot on top, but that's what's going to happen now. So over there on the boat, I've got Nico and Eliu actually fastening the other board onto the boat, while Nezo and Zeka over here are going to start cutting the next one, which is going to go just behind the one that has just been placed. So we now have 2 of these boards on the boat, which is epic. 2 on the starboard side. The most forward one for the port side is being made as we speak. The next step, of course, well, these don't have the holes in yet, but that will be one of the next steps. It has been fastened onto the beams already, which is good. Now, as this is not going to be needing any, what do you call it, anti-fouling, I can already put the primer layer on just to protect it from sun and rain and stuff. That requires some preparations like sanding, filling up those holes, sanding what's filled up those holes, and so on. So it's almost the end of the day. We've got these 2 in place, screwed on, well, threaded barred on. I've filled those holes with some filling compound. I've overfilled it because I'd rather sand a bit down than have a dip in it, even though you can later put some more, a different filling compound in. This is just a kind of epoxy putty. Over there, the next plank is being made still. It's almost ready. And over here, the next plank is already being measured up so we can bring it over to the boards, which we received one of them today, the big one on top over there. So this has to just dry. Horrible stuff. I've got tar and this epoxy putty on my hands. I know I should have been wearing gloves. So I'm gonna have a nightmare taking that off later. But when this is dried, I can sand it all off, fill up a bit more if I need to, and I'll get that first layer of primer paint on.
Right now we already have two tabicas in place. The first one over here, then the one that follows, and the first one on port side is in place as well. And we have the fourth piece being worked on right here. Zaka just called Ben to help him with some strength as he's vacuuming, but he cannot hear, so I'm gonna call him. Ben! They're asking for your help.
Yeah.
I was showing from the ground, and that was actually very silly, because from here you can see it's so much better. So the first piece that was installed, the one I'm stepping on, we already have the other side, and here following we have another one, and over there they're working on the next one.
So flattening this tabica is probably the heaviest job here, if not lifting the tabica onto the boat. But normally up till now it's just been the planks and the frames that we've been plating, or the beams, which is usually just one person on each side. But I don't know if you saw from the video how many people we needed to lift this tabica, or at least the timber that's going to become the tabica. So I think we just had lunch, and I think we've burnt all the calories of the lunch that we've had already. Down there, the second tabica on the port side is being cut. Well, the roll cut's being made to go over there. Over here, we're just copying all these holes where these cabezas are going to go, the distances onto the other side to make sure they're symmetrical. So it's a very delicate work because this hole has to just run flush with the inside of the shear plank. Also, if it's cut too small, these cabezos, the columns, won't fit inside and they'll just have to be cut again. If they're cut too big, the columns will fit in nicely, but water will just be able to get in easier. So they will be shut off. That's what these little angles are along the side, is so that we could put a little filling compound or a little putty so no water gets in, and we can caulk the sides as well. Now it's very cool to see because you might have seen that we're drilling some holes first and then we're using the saw to cut from hole to hole. You can't just cut this 10cm thick wood with that saw because it's just too thick and the saw won't make it. So it's a very slow and delicate work. I'm sure there are some other tools that will make this job faster, but this is what we have here at the moment, and I think it's very cool to see how they're doing it with these basic tools, because if one day we need to do something like this or use this technique to make such a big hole in such thick wood, these are the tools we'd probably have on board or at the marina or at an anchorage. So it's very good that they are using these tools that we will have access to later. So we're learning a lot and it's very interesting to watch.
We know you've seen a plank being made 1,000 times already, so we really don't want to bore you, but if you still haven't seen it, we're gonna put here the video that we show really how a plank is made, how a plank is born. But now let's really skip this and go for the fun. Our second to last plank is being nailed.
So these last two planks are actually shutter planks because they are going to squeeze in between the shear plank and the plank underneath it. These are going to squeeze all the planks together, and it's very difficult because it had to be cut exactly at even slightly too big, because it has to be hammered in hard, so it pushes the plank under it, against the plank under it, against the plank under it. So this one's going to take a lot longer than others, as well as the other one.
I can't believe our port side is being shut right now, because that's the last plank of the port side, and I'm just so happy.
It is looking like a boat again. It's keeping our hopes up, and thanks to everyone who supported us for this.
Essa resistência não. Não, mas para garantir que deixa aí, vai para lá. Aí.
Ele vai comprar uma fita, vai ficar dentro.
This is really a game of trust. I was a bit scared, but they are the bosses. Port side is installed. What we still need to do here is add the screws, as we did in every other plank. And now with the screws done, we're going to start working on starboard, which is the last plank.
Dạ rồi, đi mình cột.
So you might have seen we've managed to borrow one of those cranes, chain crane, from the neighbors, and I think this is a very slow but a lot more efficient way of getting the longest deck board covering plank onto the boat. So you can see this just has to come onto here. So for now it's a coffee break, so we can just relax, rethink it, come back fresh and continue, because the hard work still has to come where we have to carry it onto the boat. The other ones we just about managed to lift manually onto the boat because we had a lot more people in the shipyard, the neighbors and stuff, and also they were a lot smaller. This one is the biggest one so far and it is very heavy. So coffee and then let's get back to business.
Ih, tudo bem?
Tá vendo aí, rapaziada?
So this is almost in place and it's all against the shear plank, but there's one part which is the most forward part of this plank which is not managing to go down. There's like a little lump in it, so having to come up with some ideas to bring the outside, the lateral of the cover board down without using a clamp, because there's nothing to clamp it onto. So this is what the solution is.
Funnily enough, for the time of our last plank to be made, we finally learned that that batten over there is called the story plank because it tells the story of the plank. And now this story plank is already in place. Soon they're going to do all their scribbles with all the info, and for the last time they're gonna pass that to a board and a plank will be born.
So today is actually quite a special day because it is the last day where our hull will not be shut, and tomorrow is even going to be even more special because our hull will be shut. So that's going to be really cool. Normally we would have just planked up, and whenever the last plank got put in we would have celebrated a bit, but as we've waited for so long for the timber to arrive for the planks, we have decided to wait to apply this last plank, which is now ready, cut. It's been prepared to put on, but we are literally going to wait for Friday lunchtime where we can just put it on and spend the rest of the afternoon having a barbecue and whatnot, maybe whiskey and cachaça, all that type of stuff. So yeah, while that plank's been ready, a lot's been done still. So all these are in place now. They've been chiseled, sawed, drilled, anything to make these holes as accurately cut as possible. So they're ready to receive the columns that are going to hold the rail. all the way up to all of them. So now we've got a few more of these cover boards ready, which will be done Monday probably, because this weekend won't be very productive. But yes, this is amazing, and we can't wait for tomorrow because we'll close the hole.
We have an invitation for you. Next week we are installing our whiskey plank, which means it's the last plank for our hole to be shut, and we want to invite you to join us on that party. So don't miss out on next week's episode and get your favorite drink ready, because we're gonna celebrate.
Yep, and also we would like to thank people who joined us on Patreon and donated through PayPal this week. So let's start by thanking Henrik,
Adam,
Robbie,
Kylie,
Tyler,
Anne,
BC,
Akhim.
and Evie.
Thank you so much, guys, and also thank you so much for all the birthday messages that you sent me. It was very lovely and it made me very happy.